Hello, hello. I was expecting the Goodreads Choice Awards to drop at midnight, but they are live now. And this timing actually kind of works better for me to go live now. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the Goodreads Choice Awards. I just put out my predictions video, so we will see how good I am at predicting the future. I obviously was not good at predicting what time the Goodreads Choice Awards would drop, but we're going to look at if any of my predictions for the categories were correct. I know I put that predictions video out a little bit late. I had been planning that predictions video for a while. I just didn't have time to sit down and record it. But then I went to put this book on my currently reading, and I saw at the top here it says that the Goodreads Choice Awards are live. Now, I've not looked at them. I just decided to go live and we will look at them together. So let's go ahead and click on it now and see what it says. Readers' favorite books of 2024. Here are the most popular books on Goodreads. Okay, let's look at the different categories. So I did not do any predictions for fiction because I didn't feel like I knew what would be in the fiction category. And I'm slightly surprised to see Playground because I'm pretty sure this one was one that was just released, but I have heard of, I think, all of these. So, all right, let's look at historical fiction. I've not read any of these, so I'm not voting in that category. For historical fiction, let's see. Is there any I've not heard of? I don't know if I know this one. The Love Elixir of Augusta Stern. I don't recognize that one, but I have heard of all of the other ones. Let's look at mystery thriller. I am going through these in order that they have it on the sidebar here, which means that these three in the middle are the ones that I predicted. Okay, mystery thriller. Let's see what is here. Again, I've not read anything from this category, so I'm not voting in this category. We'll glance at romance really quickly. Romance is probably the one that I've not paid attention to the most. So, yeah, I've not heard of this one. I actually have heard of most of these, kind of surprisingly. I've not heard of this one. Bride was super popular. All right, now let's look at romantasy. So this is a category I predicted, so let's see what's on here. The Games Gods Play. I did not predict that one. Apprentice to the Villain, that's romantasy? I didn't realize that was a romantasy one. The Veiled Kingdom. I did not predict that one. Feybound was one that I predicted. I don't even know if I've heard of Quicksilver. Born of Blood and Ash is one that I should have known but did not predict. Fate of the Sun King was one I did not predict. I should have known When the Moon Hatched. That one's really popular. I suspect House of Shadow and Flame will be the one to win this category. I think I put a Dark and Drowning Tide in what? Did I put it away or did I put it in romantasy? I don't remember. I did predict that one. I should have known Honey Witch. I did not predict that. And then the Spell Shop. Someone commented on my video that the Spell Shop would be on here. And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but it was not one that I predicted. So let's see. I predicted, I'm going to go ahead and include a Dark and Drowning Tide, House of Flame and Shadow, Feybound, and Fate Inked in Blood. So I was not very good at this category because that's only 4 of them that I got correct. Hello, welcome. All right, let's look at fantasy. I'm hoping this is the category that I get the most correct on. Let's see. All right, The Night Ends with Fire. I did not have that one. The Blackbird Oracle, I should have known. But okay, I'm also really happy The Warm Hands of Ghosts is in fantasy. So I'm happy about that. I had that one. I had The Foxwife. I had Empire of the Damned, The Lost Story, When Among Crows. I think I put A Song to Drown Rivers and Romantasy. So it's really interesting that that one ended up here. Dead Cattail Assassins is here. No, there were books on my list that had more ratings and reviews than Dead Cattail Assassins. So I'm surprised that one because I was like, I looked at that one. It was like, this one is not popular enough to make it. So I don't know how I feel about that. The Tainted Cup was on my list. Book of Doors was on my list. The Bright Sword was on my list. 5 Broken Blades I had in Romantasy. Is it not a Romantasy? I want to click on it and find out. It's going to take a moment. Is this, it says fantasy, romance. I guess maybe it's more fantasy than romance. That's interesting. See, this is the problem with the hard thing about fantasy and romantasy being separate categories is then I have to figure out which books are fantasy and which books are romantasy, and they just changed the order when I came back to this page. So A Sweet Sting of Salt was not a prediction of mine, and Somewhere Beyond the Sea was not a prediction of mine, but it should have been. It really should have been. Academy for Liars was on my predictions, and Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands was on my predictions. The Familiar was on my predictions, so Voyage of the Damned was. So let's see, there was only 1, 2, well, this one I predicted for a different category, so I'll go 3, 4, 5, 6. But 5 Broken Blades I also predicted for a different category, so 7. So I got 13 correct. That's a lot better than I did for Romantasy. I'm really surprised by some of these. Which one will I vote for, though? Because this is the category, let's see. I read Dead Cattail Assassins. I DNF'd The Tainted Cup. I read A Sorceress Comes to Call, and I read The Familiar. And of those 3 that I have read, Sorceress Comes to Call is my favorite. I absolutely love that book. All right, let's look at science fiction, which is a category I'm not sure what was going to be on here, but I did make predictions. So let's see how many I got right. Stardust Grail was on my list. In Ascension? Did that come out this year? That didn't come out this year, did it? It says, oh, was it published after the cutoff date? No, it says it's published in April 2020. Is that right? Is the date, because the date isn't always right on Goodreads. Hang on. I'm going to look this up real quick. Because I was like, I thought Shore in Ascension came out last year. What is that doing? Let's do in Ascension. Let's look at publication date. Where's the publication date? Come on. Okay, on Amazon, it says it was published in February 2024. Maybe it was published in the US then? I'm actually kind of confused. If you just Google it, though, it says it was originally published in February 2023. Yeah, I'm confused by that one. I don't know why that one was on the list. Extinction was not a prediction of mine. Service model was Antibot. Antibot. I guess I should have known that one, but I did not think of it when I was making my predictions. The Black Box of Doom. No, I'm starting to worry about this Black Box of Doom. That is such a wonderful title. I've never heard of this book before. That is wonderful. I'm going to have to look into that. Red Side Story, I did not think had enough ratings or reviews. So I did not have it on my predictions. The Ministry of Time and Baby X, I don't recognize Baby X, but I've maybe heard of that one. The Mercy of the Gods, I expected to be on here. Sky Full of Elephants, I'm a little surprised is on here. The Family Experiment, I've never heard of. Blueprint, I'm surprised that one's on here. Absolution, I predicted. I cheerfully refuse. I've not heard of this one. Yours for the Taking. I've also not heard of this one. Moon of the Turning Leaves. Okay, I'm actually kind of happy that one's on here. I've not read it, but I read the previous book. So this is like a sequel to, but is there like they can be read as standalones? And I read the previous book and it was on my top books that I read last year. So I'm really happy to see it on here, even though I haven't gotten to it this year. And I guess maybe they're going by US release dates because Moon of the Turning Leaves was released in 2023. I know it was released in Canada. I don't know if it was released in UK in 2023, but it was not released in the US until 2024. So I assume they're going off of US releases. I did predict The Other Valley. I did not predict Orbital, which is like a complete oversight of mine because that one was on, it's a Booker shortlist. So like I should have known Orbital was going to be on here. I have Orbital out. It's actually right behind me, I think. Yep, here's Orbital. I have that one out. I'm going to read it soon. And Beautyland. I don't remember seeing much buzz around Beautyland. Oh my goodness, it has 12,000 ratings. Yeah, okay, so apparently I am not tuned into the sci-fi category because there were several of these that I had not even heard of. So let's see how many Blueprint has. That only has 966 ratings. Are you serious? Okay, let's look at the shelving data for the Blueprint though. Because I have books on, so they are obviously not just going off of books that came out this year with like the most ratings and shelvings. It does have, oh, it has 20,000 people shelving it. Okay, never mind. I retract what I said. Because I'm going to look at my list real quick. Because I think most of mine were probably close to or around 20,000. Let's look at my sci-fi list. Oh, this is last year's. Hang on. Here is my sci-fi list. Yeah, I didn't have a full list for sci-fi, but I was predicting ones that had only like 20,000 people shelving it. So I guess the Blueprint made it on shelving data, not number of people reading it, because I know it came out earlier this year. All right, let's look at horror real quick. I did not have this in my predictions, but I'm going to say it's not on the screen yet. What is it? Someone you can build a nest in or something like that, I think is going to be on here. Bury Your Gaze, I've heard about. Incidents Around the House, I'm not familiar with, but I'm not really a horror reader. What Feasts at Night, I want to try some T. Kingfisher horror. My Dreadful Thing, I've seen a lot about. Bog Wife, I've seen a lot about. I have seen a lot of these actually. They do not have someone you can build a nest in. See, I think I'm not good at predicting these. This is what we're learning. Let's go on to debut novel. I really did not know what would be in debut novel. I didn't have like really good guesses as like, or really like good on my radar of like which ones were debuts or not. Okay, Masquerade is on here. Voyage of the Damned, which is a fantasy. Sky Full of Elephants, which was a sci-fi. I've heard of like all of these. Shredhead Sisters, I've heard of. We Were Promised, I've heard of. Welcome to the, I don't know how to say this, bookshop. I've like heard of all of these. We Used to Live Here sounds familiar. Book of Doors is another fantasy that's on this list, but I mean, debut can be anything. So it's a pretty good list for debut. Audiobook? Audiobook's a category? Since when? And also, like, how do you know what the most popular audiobooks are? Just like the most popular books overall? Or I guess the ones that most people have listened to via audio. I don't know how I feel about audiobook being a category. All right. Reader's favorite audiobooks. How was this chosen? How was how was I have questions. All right, moving on to young adult fantasy, which is a category that I did have predictions in. So let's see. Okay, The Darkness Within Us was not on my predictions. All This Twisted Glory was not on my predictions. Your Blood, My Bones was not on my predictions. Defiance on here. Defiance, the one I actually predicted this would be in science fiction, so I was incorrect about that. But I was correct that it would make it Goodreads Choice Awards, I guess you could say. I had Dragon Fruit. I had For She Is Wrath in my romantasy pick. I think I messed that one up because I didn't realize that was YA. The Poisons We Drink was on here. Don't Let the Forest In was not on my list. Where the Library Hides. I probably should have known that one. Air was on my list. Immortal Dark. I don't even think I've heard of this one. It's a dark academia fantasy. Interesting. Of Jade and Dragons was on my predictions. So Let Them Burn was on my predictions. The Invocations. This is another one I've not heard of. Interesting. Wisteria was not on my predictions. And someone commented on my predictions video that I missed Ruthless Vows. And 100%, I don't know how I missed that one. Is Ruthless Vows going to take the category? Possibly. Where the Dark Stands Still is still surprising to me because I didn't realize it was that popular, but I did put it on my predictions. The Prisoner's Throne was not. Reckless, and Heartless Hunted was another one someone commented on my video that would be on this list. So my commenters are very smart. I think I've only voted in the fantasy category because it's the only, because I didn't read anything in science fiction. Let me go back and check. And I guess I didn't read anything in debut either. In Ascension's on my to-read list. The Other Valleys on my to-read list. The Mercy of Gods, The Blueprint Orbital, Service Model, The Silver Dust Grail. All of these are on my to-read list. Obviously, Moon of the Turning Leaves is on my to-read list. How many people have shelved that one? That's over 6,000. So that makes sense to be on here. All right, let's look at young adult fiction. What's in the general young adult fiction? I probably don't know a whole lot of these. I do recognize them, though. I'm not going to read out every single title, but I do recognize all of the titles. So that's cool. Maybe I could have predicted a little bit in this category, but I wasn't comfortable doing that because I felt like I didn't know this category as well. Reader's favorite nonfiction. I did not predict in this category, but all of these are not surprising to me. All right, and let's look at memoir, another category I did not predict, but yeah, I'm not as familiar with these ones. Hereafter and Wanted Toddler's Personal Assistant, not really familiar with those. There's Always This Year, not familiar with that one. I do recognize like the other ones here. The Wives, not familiar with that one. I have heard of all of the other ones though. So let's move on to history and biography. I think fantasy is going to be the only category that I'm voting in because I haven't read that many new releases this year. I do not recognize the first one, Eden Undone. Not familiar with that one. I do recognize these ones. The Marie Curie one is one that I am interested in reading. American Scary. I'm not familiar with that one. I am interested in reading Challenger. Challenger sounds interesting. I kind of like space stuff. So Madness, I'm very interested in reading. Let's see. I'm interested in reading The Small and the Mighty. And then I have heard of, I think, most of these. So except this one. This first one, I don't recognize this one. But okay, there we have it. The Goodreads Choice Awards. The best category that I predicted was fantasy. I only predicted 4 categories. And then the only one that I actually read books in was fantasy. So that's the only one I'm voting in. And like, okay, I've not read all of these books, and I understand this is just like a popularity contest and it's not that serious. And I try to just like make it fun because I know it's not a serious award. I'm just gonna have fun with it. But I still don't really feel like voting for ones that I've not read because what if I don't like those books whenever I read it? But okay, that is the Goodreads Fantasy or the Goodreads Choice Awards for 2024. Thank you for joining me. Let me know which ones you're voting for, which ones were your favorite books that made the Choice Awards. And I hope to see you in another video. Happy reading.